Yeah, fear. I don't know. Insects.
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 What?
Yeah,
Why
because
insects?
I get bitten a lot.
Oh,
So
really?
I must be the most attractive person in insects world. Insects world, you know. It's like it's I always get bitten
I'm so
and
sorry.
then yeah and antibiotics and that sort of level. It's
Really?
yeah yeah.
That's really
Yeah, I
bizarre.
need it to. I must be like a George Clooney in the insect world.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm popular somewhere. Yeah, it's you know
Do you,
it's but it's crazy. It's crazy. They
oh
take
man.
risk. I mean, you know, I can help myself being attractive to the
Yeah,
insects.
exactly. That's a
Yeah,
talent. That's a talent.
yeah, it must be. It must be. I mean, it should be on my CV.
So, Dai, welcome to the Forte podcast. It's so great to have you here, and thank you very much for giving us your time. How are you?
Fine. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
No, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. So, I love to start off the episode with the topic of consistency. So, you said
Mm-hmm.
before in the interview that you compose every day. And I wondered if
Yeah.
you could talk about the subject of consistency in creative people. How important is it for creative people to be consistent in their productivity?
I mean, I don't know in a way that I compose every day, but it's not like I have to compose every day. It's just something I do, like since when I'm 8. But in a way, like you breathe. I mean, you don't think like I have to breathe every day, but you do. It's a bit like that. It's just I was composed. I don't know why. I just did, always did. It's so much fun composing, and then the more I think, especially the time since the pandemic, because everybody's locked in and so on. We all were in UK, civilly, I would say. Then I know a lot of my friends who had psychological problems and issues, which is totally understandable because we have never faced this before. But at the same time, I mean, I don't know. If I always thought like if you compose, you don't have. I mean, it doesn't. You can anyone can compose music. I mean, you don't have to compose for orchestra or something, whatever you want to do. I mean, it's your freedom to compose music. But if you are composing music, I bet it's healthier, even during lockdown, because you can do that in lockdown. And then, yeah, I'm sure it's definitely mentally healthier if you compose music or anything creative. But compose music, it's nice because it's because it's a relationship with the sound you make. For example, you compose, you think about the opening, whatever that is, and then you think about the opening, but it could be that's not the opening of the piece. It could be that could be the middle. We don't know. But at the same time, I mean, as I get older, I always think that it's a relationship between the music you just created and me. So basically, I need to ask her, in my case, I don't know why, but her music, where she wants to go, or where does she lead me to next? Or maybe she thinks that that's not the opening. She said it's the opening. Well, I thought it's the opening. I don't know, but she said it isn't. So I don't know. We have to find out what it is. But then it will be led by the music. So that's the dialogue we go in my case. So it is not like when I was young. Of course, I was more like controlling. It's that's what you do. You many pages of sketches before you start writing music, and I'm the composer. I know what I'm doing. This is the structure. This is the concept, philosophy, and that's how it is. That's okay. I've done that. But again, now I think it's different. The music will tell me where I should go. The music will tell me, "Go, hey, come on! I mean, this is too short." The music telling me, "Goes, oh, come on, give me some space here." And then, oh, okay. And then I go, "What about this?" Goes, okay, that's better. Things like this. And then on top of that, as I said earlier before the interview, I hope you use that material. That I always work with the musicians whom I'm writing for, always. And then the musicians, I'm lucky that I work with really fantastic musicians, and they are fantastic musicians, and they have a great career, and they are there for a reason, because they can play the notes and play instruments, sure, but they have more to offer. And then with their even test smartphone recording of the fragments I just composed at their home, I mean, that is a great inspiration. Even though, even instrument like violin or clarinet, I mean, I know what the clarinet sounds like, I know what violin sounds like, sure. But at the same time, when they just play it, even though they will say, "Oh, I'm sorry, it's a sight reading and a smartphone recording," but then when I receive it, I can see it has a power in each behind the notes, and then I immediately think, "Well, that's too short." The music now tells me, the music, you see, I told you it's too short. It goes, okay, and then I need to make it bigger. So that's how music grows for me, anyway. And I always think that when I always think that the music tells me when the end of the piece is. She will say, "Okay, this is the end now." Oh, okay. I mean, I thought it might be, but I don't know. But sometimes, well, you can't end here. But can't I? Because it's because of professional world. I'm now going to some boring subjects. Like, for example, because my family only live from my composing, modestly, but we do. And so there's a contract, commission contract that says that how long the piece is. So usually those are like a vague, like 15 minutes or 20, or it's not like a 17 minutes, 30 seconds or something like this. It's somewhere around there. So when you reach there, the minimum length, let's say, I could finish there contractually, let's say. But again, the music said, "Well, no, you can't let me hang here, and I'm in the middle." So, okay, so I need to write more. And then there's a time the music say, "You're done now." That's okay. That's the piece. I mean, that's the kind of relationship I have. Yeah.
So when did this relationship wasn't there when you were younger as a composer?
No,
this happened as you got older.
Yeah, for sure. And because when you are young composer, I don't know if you have. As a musician, if you have to work with young composers, I hope that you will be nice to them and stuff, because being young composer is very difficult. Definitely for me it was very difficult, and then I think everybody's difficult. It is difficult because it's a lot. Because you write music, but it's not like a painting. You paint and you can see. You write, and then somebody needs to somebody in whatever the level, they need to say, "You are the guy. You are the composer. We will play your music." Somewhere along the line, I'm going to practice, I'm going to play your music. Okay, one person is fine, but it could be 2 or 3 people. They need to agree. We will have a rehearsal, we will play, even in someone's living room, right? So to do that, we need to convince somebody, at least if it's 3, then 3 people. That's a living room concert situation, that is. Because if it's the concert, you know very well that organizer, they are... I don't know the cost of that. I don't know who pays, whatever. But the more people needs to be convinced. So they need to be convinced to convince the others to get the music to be heard. So, for example, you write a note. I always say, if that is going to be performed more than one person by yourself, more than by you, then the every note has to have has to convince some people. Yeah, so when you're younger, it's hard because you're no one, so absolutely nobody. So you write score, and that needs to be convincing. I can guarantee it's gonna sound great. Just go with mine. But again, they won't. They have we agree to play the other person's composition, which is fair enough. But I need to get there. how do we do that? That's very hard. Yeah, so I think when I was younger, it's more. I felt like I'm sure I'm not the only one who needs to prove that you are something. You're writing something, and so on, so on, so on. And then I started to work with like really world class musicians, and you immediately see if you are sensitive enough. I don't mean sensitive as in like I get offended or things like that. I don't mean like a sensitivity to the sound and the situation and energy you feel from the others, because definitely not, because we're not. This is not science, which is art. And if you feel that you immediately see, for example, like a violinist, right? There's a violinist. Every violinist is, well, I mean, it's a different type. Let's say the violinists who are in the orchestra, which is also, I mean, it's a special skill, and then it's not everyone can do. So violinists, and then there are violinists who plays in front of those group of violinists, right, on the orchestra. And then there's some violinist who can just stand there in the hall with a violin, her violin, his violin, and they can, I mean, you can do a concert in front of 2,000 people, and that's okay. And everybody buy tickets to see that. And immediately you see, wow, that's why. If you meet such a person, and then from my job is as a composer is that how can I get the most out of such talent, obviously, of that musician, and how can I get the most out of it rather than like a disturb such special skill, let's say. Well, it's like a Marvel movies, isn't it? Like a superhero, basically. Superhero with a special, what do you call it? The ability, let's say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I should enhance that rather than like stop them doing it, because that's why that person decided to do whatever the tour just by herself, but just himself, and then it's packed.
Yeah.
And then even though if I were lucky enough to have one piece played by that such person, she or he plays, then that was a questionable. Then back to Brahms or a Bach, and then now we're back to superhero time. I think that's sad if that's the case. So I want to make sure that the mind can also. That's my aim anyway. So that's why I think the working closely with a musician is absolutely important for me.
Yes, absolutely. Wow, that's everything you said was really, really insightful. Especially in the contrast with visual artists, they create and their final product can be seen all together.
Yeah, that's in your room, in your
room.
studio.
Yeah, exactly. You can put it out on the street, people will see it. Mm-hmm. But with composers, just composing the manuscript is the first hurdle. That's it.
That's not music. That's not music. It's a paper.
Exactly. It's just a piece of paper. You need people to play it, to actually have it realized. And I just want to ask you this question. Do you remember when your first ever composition was played by someone?
That's a good question. And before I answer that I was going to say, I know it's a bit horrible to say, but I always think that so there's a piece of paper, right? And I write a note. I mean, that paper has less value than the paper because I put the dirt on it. It's my scribbling on it. It's less value unless it gets played. Then there's a value of the music thanks to the musician. So therefore, when I write a note, the value of the paper decreases because you can't sell it anymore because somebody drew on it, right? Unless somebody plays, that's something because it sounds wonderful because of the musician. But so that's I think. So if I'm writing music on any notes, that it has to be played, whatever the way. It doesn't have to be greatest concert hall or something. Well, now in pandemic time, it's lovely on the YouTube. It's fine, but it has to be played. So that's I think of paper. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. I mean, this is just a metaphor. I mean, one can say I only write music in computer. Fine, but I'm just saying it's a less value. Just if you put you put a dot on it. Sorry, that's my way of thinking. Okay, so my first time piece was played. It was in it was in Dover College because I went to Dover College, which is the high school, and I was because when I was 15, I moved to England from Japan and on my own. So yeah, I went to high school in Dover College, and they had a music department, and I was a music scholar. So it was okay. It was nice. There was a talented students. Then I was just like now. I was writing for them, and yeah. In fact, it's funny. Since then the music college I went in London until now. It's the same. I always with the musician. I write. I ask them to play how to play, and then okay, that doesn't sound so good. Is it me or the musician? But it's a good thing is that because music college as well as the high school definitely. I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, some musicians were very talented and everything, but some musicians that they just couldn't play because they're students, right? So that was a quite interesting study for me. Like I said, oh wow, that's easy on the piano, but that's really awkward. But that sounds bad. So let me just change that. And I will sometimes ask why, what's going on here? What is the awkward place? And then the musician will tell me because I have to do that. And so okay. So what about this? Oh, that's better. Even that sort of way of working. And so it's I would say when I was in high school. I was in high school. When I was in high school, I worked with musicians who were in high school with the instruments, and then that was the beginning of the joy of working with musician, especially the instruments which I don't play. That was nice.
So it's about enhancing the musician's capabilities rather than
but that comes later. That comes later. I think you need to be a little older to. Well, in my case, that is. I mean, when I was younger, why can't you play? I wish if I had a great musician, all that stuff. Of course, because you're a composer, and it sounds bad just because of my musician is bad. I mean, that kind of stuff, which is not true. I mean, because when you're younger, you don't know. Of course, I didn't know. So, but then again, I don't know. But it's. As I said, I think that, there are many composers, I think, that I speak to, other composers, and some composers, as I said earlier, that they told me that they would go to special place to compose music in their head because it's composing special. That's true. But from my point of view, composing is such an everyday life thing. So, when I'm working with the musicians and so on, that's also kind of normal situation to just ask and play and change. Oh, that's better, that kind of thing. But there's a moment, even today, working with the really great musicians, even over the Skype or that kind of online, we're just walking out. It's okay. It's okay. It works. It'll be fine. But this is really bothers me, that kind of stuff. I just openly talk to the musicians. I mean, of course, musicians are very nice and polite. They're not going to say, "Oh, me too. I think this sounds bad too," and they wouldn't say that. But I can sense it, But then also, it's good. And then we try, and so just give me a minute, and then they're just waiting, and I just try to. Oh, what about this now? And then I show sometimes to the screen like this, and then you try, and immediately there's a moment that both of us say, "That's it. This is it." And that's the great moment. We share, and I don't know. I think that's maybe it's benefiting the fact that the way I work this way with a musician like that. That's probably why I have quite often like a repeated customer, repeated musician who ask me to write again. Sometimes quite freaking out. I was going to say, well, didn't we just do that? Oh yeah, but it's ended. Can we just do it again? It's like, okay, another piece. Things like this. It's just very nice. And but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's a very creative. It's a very much of. I remember similar thing like me going to friend's house. I'm sure you did too, and everybody did too. Friend's house, and then there's a big box of Legos and we just play. But these days, Legos are like a specific, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, build a Lego of a spaceship or something like this. But that's that's like against the spirit of Lego, surely. Because in my time, it was like just Legos. It's like you do whatever you want with it. So yeah, and that kind of stuff. So it's a creating together, and it's nice. But obviously, the height of such creativity and collaboration is opera. That's for sure. Because there's not just music. There's a singer, there's a story librettist, and the stage director, lighting, all sorts of things happening, and it's tough because of that. All sort of department and all sort of politics behind this. But in art, it's just it's brilliant because I mean, stage director as well as all of these people in those positions. I mean, they are there for a reason because they didn't just come there. They also had to prove a lot of people to do a lot of production to finally get there as we all are. So to learn from them and respect them. And then from my point of view, just because I'm a composer. So in composing opera, quite often people would listen to my opinion, which is nice. But so therefore I shouldn't really give because they shouldn't really listen to me when it comes to something which is away from music, in my opinion, because I mean they are the talent when it comes to staging, design, and stuff. So I should. It's because they're polite and they sometimes ask me, but it's the best, in my opinion, not to say. Right. And then you see, just don't interrupt their amazing talents. And then when blossoms, it's incredible. And that's a great team effort. And then I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I have 3 operas and several productions of each, and then I always had a great time and learning from different talents. It's just it's not an amazing thing that to observe and learn from these people who have these talents and ability which you don't have. Clearly, you don't have. It's like, wow, it's amazing. I mean, it's like, did you just born with it, or is it one day you think, oh, I'm actually very talented, or what is it? I don't know. But I don't know. I would like to ask them, but it's a very wonderful things to observe and the form of my own research. Study. It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, going back to your point of, well, like you said before, repeat customers, repeat musicians coming back to you to compose. I can understand why, because if you don't mind the analogy, it's a bit like having a suit made for you, just for you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great. Mm-hmm. It feels great that there's so much effort and time being put into crafting something that's just for you personally, physically and musically.
Yeah, and exactly that's the exact analogy I sometimes use too. That's the thing. But then I had to get older to get to that thinking. For me, that it's not that, because when I was younger, it's like, oh, your instrument. I mean, what are the bottom note? What is the highest note? Is it possible to play? How fast can you play? Blah, blah, blah. That's sort of physical thing. I can play that. Only looking at this, can you play like this? That I can play, that sort of thing. But then I start realizing that first, even talented musicians, they are human too, of course. But also, and then also those people, even though they're talented and experienced, but they have to play this in front of people.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what's happening in their life? I don't know. This life is happening, even to these big stars, I guess. And then I realized, what can I do to help them in a way? What can I do to help them, for them to play or sing, definitely sing or play, not the note I just wrote, can you play? But saying the best sound from you. I mean, because the musician has this, musician, it's so nice when musicians say, well, with this piece, it's so in me. It's like mine. I can just do it. That's kind of when I'm collaborating, even heavier than, closer. Then when we get to that situation, that's nice when musicians tell me that, because sometimes thanks to the other composers who are not that collaborative, I have to say, they really, my opinion, in my experience, that the musicians really thanks me they thank me because all the other composers they just arrive the piece and that's it. And then I practiced. I some of them I couldn't play. It's unplayable or whatever. I played, and then the composer person didn't say anything or that sort of thing. But with me, it's like you will know from bar one till the end all the big measures bars which was cut. I mean, I cut. Sometimes the musicians ask me, "Oh, yeah, it's why did you cut that?" I was, well, I don't know, it's a bit much, isn't it? And I said, well, I mean, why? Why didn't you like it? Because I don't know. Let me practice, and then let me practice. Well, what about that? But oh, that sounds good. Can you put it back in? So I put it back in. That sort of thing is quite nice. And but it's funny that I must be the only composer who overcut things. I just cut my own music a lot. And then sometimes musicians say, "Oh wow, that was my favorite," and then I knew I could do it better because in fairness to the musicians, they are sight reading while we are testing. Obviously, you know how it is. You can play better in 4 months' time, but so that kind of very nice experience. And then I always think that, as I said in another interview too. If the musician who plays my music, if they look good, somehow I look good too.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Yeah, I was just about to.
Well, don't you think so? It's
I
don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very rare to hear, or I never heard, like, it was an amazing performance. Obviously, bravo to the musician, for sure. I'm the first one to do that. And I don't know, it's a bit very rare. I would say, oh, but it's a terrible piece. I mean, it's not really, it's like a whole thing. Great. I'm sure there are such things that are beautifully played, or wonderful musicians. Why do they play such a horrible music? I get that, but I understand that could happen. But I don't know. In my experience, that when the musicians feel so great, they perform in front of people because they love to perform in front of people. That's why they're a performer.
Yeah.
And that'd be so nice. They think, oh, this is really my thing.
Yeah.
And then it's nice they do it, and then of course the audience, because the audience is important, because I write music to be played and they play music to be heard, so they are linked there, and that's what makes it music, isn't it? That's different from as I said, the visual art. You make, you see, and that's the end of it. I mean, I'm sure it's not true, but again, it is. For music, it's so much more complicated. It's because to hear a sound you wrote, it's well, where do we begin? Right? How many meetings do we have to have? And fundraisers and all sorts of things. With even the little concerts, it's hard, and even smaller venue, it's hard to get the people come in. So whatever you have, 2,000 seat concert hall has a 2,000 seat problems, and 200 seat concert hall is 200 seat problems to fill in. So it's hard anyway. I mean, so we have to do it together, and I don't know. It's so that's I don't know. I really enjoy creative process, but sometimes some musicians. Oh, well, that's one thing I have to say. Some musicians either they don't want to collaborate, that's a bit sad, and well, just send me when you finish the piece. I mean, that's a bit okay. I have a solution to this as well. Because I have experience. So that solution as well too. And another is other is that before COVID time, it's too busy stars. They just don't have time. So that's why since the COVID, since the pandemic, some of the project I wrote them. Some of them are sort of finished. It was premiered, but I wasn't happy. I know that the musician wasn't happy. So I wrote to some of the musicians, say, look, I know you're not doing anything because everything is cancelled in the world. This is the time. This is the time we must collaborate. And then some of the musicians say that, oh, you're right. Can we just do now? Because what are you doing? Well, nothing. And nobody's doing anything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, freely, right? So we just met over the internet every single day for like 5 hours each, and we just collaborated them. And then we made the final version, which we're all happy, and that kind of thing. That's kind of nice. And so because we need time, you can't just do instant cup noodle like
Yeah.
collaboration, like a hot water, 3 minutes done. I mean, it's not like that. So yeah, that's just to say the first experience of the former, what I said, collaboration, but then the musician somehow I realized that the person doesn't want to collaborate. I find it a bit sad. But because sometimes, quite a lot of times, I don't actually go there to say, "Can I please write for you?" It's like musicians ask me, "I would love you to write a piece." So, sure, I'm glad, and gladly, and then I research for that person. That's fantastic. Let's do it. And I'm like, "Jolly, let's collaborate." But I can see it's like a dead there over there. It's like, what is this difference? Then it's clear that person doesn't want to have this communication. That's just weird. It's a kind of mixed feeling here because of mixed signal, because that person offered to me. So then I sometimes, when I don't hear from such musicians more than 2 weeks, I have another method. I contact my friend who plays the same instrument, and then I explain to them, look, contractually, I cannot let you do world premiere in this. So I don't know why you want to help me, but would you like to help me? And then my friends, of course. I mean, so if that person do the world premiere, whenever that is, I can play after, sure. So that person is already booked for the concert like next week, a week after the world premiere. The person does it, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then that whoever I develop the piece with, that person will take the piece over as if it's hers or his or something like this. And then it's fine. And then it's kind of weird thing that everybody thinks, that everybody associate that piece with that musician, and they open the scope. I didn't know somebody else did that while playing. Well, yeah, apparently, kind of. Yeah, that's a bit sad in my opinion, because I mean, I don't know why would anyone do that. Maybe it was a condition the musician got, like, I want to do a recital, and then some concert hall organizer said, you need a new piece, why don't you ask someone like him? Okay, or something. This is my imagination, because it's a mixed signal, but it rarely happens. But yeah, I do like that. It's fun, but because it's I
think that's really good, because it's making good use of your networks and your connections and your
friends,
and your friends,
and then the good
resources.
friends, they're very nice,
exactly. Fantastic. Well, I read one of your interviews with 15 questions. You did an interview with 15 questions, and you said, which I found really, really intriguing, was the concept of utopia. You said that you want to write music to create this utopia that you want to live in. And I want to really explore this. What does Dai's utopia look like or feel like?
It's it's a it's a I think that first of all, I think that, in my opinion, the music, the sound, which is the richest, I don't know scientifically, I don't care about that, I'm just, in my opinion, my experience,
yeah, sure,
the sound is the richest senses which triggers us. The sound triggers you to feel, of course, okay, but not like that, not just that, but feels to taste. Sounds can taste and smell and touch and eat. All that stuff can be done with a single sound, in my opinion, and then that combination of it and the tempo and the musicians' energy to perform it, and the group of musicians' energy, and the conductor and the soloist and the chemistry happening, presented. And then, in my opinion, you can, I think that music is some kind of making the world. But here, I don't mean the world in that sort of Christianity sense that God is a composer. I'm not interested in any of that, and a lot of people would mistaken to be that. I'm not saying that at all. But I just think that it's like I don't know, like a mushrooms, it's a sound, it's signals which um inspires and influences all sorts of other nerves and which will make us create many different dimensions that can create to get becomes the world. And I would like to just create the world I want to live in, and that's so true to me even now. Maybe it's because we never get to live in a place we actually want to live. Well, we do. I mean, I don't want to say horrible thing. I mean, we have a very nice landlady and everything, but but how it is. London is expensive. It's hard, and we just have to make the best out of it and that kind of thing. And it's too small, all that stuff. But in music, that's what I meant in the beginning. I said earlier that in pandemic, if you compose music, even in lockdown, I'm sure that mentally it will be healthier. Because you're not here, you are somewhere, you are in your music world which you created, and you can just live there, and hoping during the time of duration of the piece. And then for me is I want to create this space where I want to go, and I would like to invite people just for the duration of the piece. And then, well, you can just look around, and then maybe it's nice, or you just think, okay, that was nice, and then you go after the piece. It's fine. So it feels like that. I mean, it's like a utopia. It's like colors are more vivid, and it's like a middle of super nature, not just a nature, but like imaginative nature, which doesn't give you allergy or any of the annoyances are not there. Everything is beautiful. It's a flowing, and you can eat something in there. You eat them, bite them, and maybe crispy outside, maybe very juicy inside. Aftertaste is different from the beginning of the taste, which is very important. That is so difficult to teach people who doesn't have a relationship to the food, but there are such people. I don't know what to do with them. But I mean, a lot of my students, I teach a little bit, and then most of the students, luckily for me, they all come from very rich food cuisine, all sorts of culture. They immediately understand all these things. It doesn't matter which country, but it's very important for them, as I understand too. So we can talk about these orchestrations and sound, because it's not a sound is not the static thing, because it moves, isn't it? Sort of. And so it's energy also moves and flows, and then how does it flow? That's very interesting for me. And so those are a combination of this. It's keep moving, and then also hoping that the person. It's a weird thing to think about. How does other people listen? Because I've never been to other people's ear. So how do they hear? I don't know. Don't you think so sometimes? Even the color too, isn't it? I call this blue, let's say. I see this blue, but maybe you are looking at yellow for me, but you are told that is blue. I mean, we don't know.
Yeah,
because we don't know. It sounds same with the sound. I don't know. To me, that sound like this, I hear like that, and sounds great to me. And then, but you might think that it could sound great to you, but also I hear completely different. I'm sure it's different.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
we're influenced also by the environments we grew up in and how we see things are different due to our upbringings. Yeah. So I think that's one of the beauties of interpretation, is so much variety.
And at that time too. I mean, meaning of performance. So, for example, like even I'm a recording nerd, so I love recordings, and I make my own recordings and I release them. I don't know who listens to them, but I do, and I mix them and master them. It's all that stuff. But I love doing this. And I can tell you, even the recording of the same music played twice, matinee concert and evening concert, it's different. Even in silence from the audience, I hear difference. It's very different, really. It's matinee I can sense it's a happier, freer, but not less tight. and the evening it's a
Yes.
special power. But don't you think
Yes.
that sometimes I always think that, don't you think the evening has special power? Because don't you?
I was just about to
Yeah.
say, it's something I thought about a lot. For example, two friends are talking, having a conversation.
Mhm.
If the two friends are having a conversation in the afternoon, sun's out, everyone's out, and compare that with the same conversation, same two friends, but in the evening,
It's different.
the evening conversation, even though you talk about the same thing, it just feels a lot deeper. It feels a lot more
Yeah,
intimate. Yeah.
absolutely. But don't you feel that even didn't you do this when you were a schoolboy? I don't know, school trip, whatever,
Right.
right? And it's in the evening you talk about who you fancy or whatever, all that
Yeah,
stuff. People do that,
yeah.
but it's in the evening. You don't do that like after lunch, right? Sorry, it's me. You know what I mean? It's like you don't do that in a daylight, but you do it
Yeah.
in the evening, and everybody's whispering and maybe underdo it. I don't know. But then that has to be something to do with the evening, night power of the evening, and
Yeah.
I'm sure it's the same
Yeah,
with
exactly.
performance.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so too. I think there's a translation there. Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other pieces not composed by you but composed by other people? Any piece you like, could be a song, that gives you a similar sense of utopia. Maybe not utopia, but a sense of comfort. Like the the piece understands you and how you feel. And
Yeah, I see. Well, there's so many music, and then so much music, and then different genre of music. So I can't really pinpoint what, and then I can't really say one and then not mention the other. So it's so I don't know. But for me, there's several. Well, I don't know about Utopia. I'm not talking about Utopia, but the sound to me, I always thought, and then funny enough, I don't listen to this music often enough. I think of Ligety's Clocks and Clouds. Yeah, that piece it starts right, and then it's a beautiful piece, patterns and so on. And then halfway through, there's a big chords coming in, and then there's another chords coming. It's to me that sounds like it opens the world the widest possible, like with a range, like a range. I don't know, the widest possible. Then the next chord is wider in my mind, and wide. It's like how is that possible? Where is it going?
yeah,
In a greatest sense, that is amazing to me. Even though, funny enough, I only listened to that piece live twice or three times, and then I know I love the music, and I have recordings, of course, but I don't listen to it enough. But yes, that's a sensation. And also another sensation I have is a Daphne and Chloe. There's a beautiful cello melodies, and there's a moment the cello line goes to the two notes, split into two notes. It's nothing really. One single note goes two notes, right? That opening of two notes, for me, that is a very sensual. I find it very sensual. I don't know why. It just is. Yes, that's. And also at the same time, I have to say, and again, I don't listen to enough, but music, kind of later music by Boulez, I often thought that music was like as if written for my taste. Because of this attack and an aggressiveness, and then it's yeah, I don't know why the Boulez. Never understood. Boulez told me that once he likes to. He said I used to like to drive a car in the evening. That's because of the opposite lane. There's a car coming with the lights coming towards you, and then somebody interrupted. I just don't understand, but why that is fascinating. But sorry, that's like dangerous. I don't drive, so I don't know. But anyway. But then he had this, because I worked with him, he conducted my pieces too. He has got this, even when he was over 80, he has got this like a little boy, like on a bike, little boy on a motorbike, kind of a speed, fanatic, danger, smells of like a danger. With him, it's like you were with bad boy, bad kid in school. That kind of feels, that feels in his performance. It's so his music. I remember, yeah, like Suran Seas and Repon, even those and the Express and Fix, all those the attack and so on. It's just so like a what do you call it? We say shiatsu, but what is this massage point? There's a point. I'm sure that's no Japanese. It's Chinese. The acupuncture point. Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Acupuncture points like this, and you know that you hit and you feel, oh, that's there. That
Yes.
I feel like his attack and things were fitting in my acupuncture points. I felt. That's what I wanted to say. And yeah, and then yet, if you cut everywhere in his music, the harmony is just so beautiful. It's just beautiful every. Is in a way, it's a bit like a little candy. I'm sure he will. I hope he will forgive me. It's like a little candy, traditional candy in Japanese. You cut everywhere. It has a picture in it. I feel a bit like that with his music. It's anywhere, because if you're sitting in his rehearsal of his music, it's fascinating because you don't play. It's rehearsal. You don't play from bar 1, obviously. Let's play from bar 256. It sounds amazing from there too. From that moment, so in my opinion, that his music is, for me, it's like every harmony is a resolution. So no suspension, just resolution, resolution, resolution. In my opinion, it's very strange music. Is it long? Is it short? Is it fast? Is it slow? We don't know. I mean, what is that? I find that's fascinating. And then yes, the pop music, and so on. Yeah, it's endless. I could go on, but so yeah,
Yeah.
it's
I'm so glad you mentioned Boulez, because he performed your orchestral piece. Was it Stream State? Stream State, yes. And he's a supporter of your work, and I was wondering if you could just tell us and the audience your relationship with Boulez. How did it start? What were your first impressions of him?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was my hero when I was studying composition. Many people are, I'm sure, and yeah, he conducted a lot of pieces, important works, modern pieces. So therefore, you can go and listen to his recordings and his concerts when he was active, alive and active. And then I went to see him. What he conducted, not necessarily his own music, but that's what a lot of composers did back then. And then I think 2003, it was sort of like a call for pieces, but then it was internal. So it was so I was lucky. At that moment I met Peter Oetvisch. Peter Oetvisch is a very important person for me. I mean, I even say even more important to me than Boulez, because yeah, Peter Oetvisch, who I was a big fan of, and then somehow London Sinfonietta at the time, they were doing this project, and then they asked me to take part, show called Blue Touch Paper, and then they asked we're thinking to have a mentor for each composers, for me too. I was, oh, okay, great. Well, whom do you want? I mean, we can ask for you. And that's all. Well, so I wanted somebody who I can never meet, right? Because I was a student, a Royal College music student. I said, well, what about Peter Oetvisch? And they just like, yeah, okay, we'll ask him for you, but I probably will no. I mean, right? Like, why would he say yes? I mean, he doesn't know me. Of course he doesn't. Right. But anyway, I find so weird. So they asked him for me, and he said yes. So wow, by the way, he said yes. Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, your next lesson. So that our first lesson is 10 months time from now. So of course, big star. And then I have 25 minutes. It's precisely 25 minutes. And okay, 25 minutes. So it's 10 months. It's a long time, but it's okay. I can wait. But immediately, 2 days later, I just got a very short email from Peter Oetvisch. 2 emails say, sorry, it's the email I was cut. Yeah, two emails from Peter Oetvisch saying that yeah, basically I don't know your music. Well, I'm sure I don't know your music. Can you send some? That's it. So this time was not, it was around 2002, 2003. So there are no, I mean, no one really sent like MP3 or PDF score via email. So please post your music to this address. So, actually went to post office and send it. So I had some music scores and recordings on the CDR and so on, and send it to him. And and then I didn't hear anything from him for until I meet him. So, but then that's normal. Why would I hear from him, right? But from that moment onwards, I'm getting all sorts of weird emails from a lot of places like Ensemble Modern, Académie der Kunst in Berlin, Lucerne Festival, and I think it was a Klangverein Wien too, all those sorts of places. Basically, they said exactly the same thing. I don't know you, but Peter Uterfish said we should know you. So can you send some music? Well, basically, they was like, who are you, basically? So, wow, because you can't, I don't know, these days maybe people go into Facebook or something to get in touch with these people. I don't know. But at that time, it was not such communication, and there's no social network. So if you don't know anybody, how do you get there? But anyway, he opened the door for me. So I just did exactly what they asked me to do. Please send us a score because we don't know you. It's okay. Score send. So everywhere I sent, it became some kind of project with me. That's great. And then one of them at Lucerne Festival, and they were looking for two young composers. They will be chosen by Boulez, and Boulez, the chosen composers, will be workshopped by Boulez a year before the world premiere. And based on that workshop, you can write orchestral music. They will commission, premiered by Boulez. I mean, why not enter? So I entered, and then I was shortlisted. I remember I was shortlisted on so 2003. So 2005 was the world premiere. So 2003, 2 years before. So they will ask me, we will support you. I mean, pay you to come to visit Lucerne, and then can you, because Mr. Boulez wants to meet composers, finalist composers, and then he will decide. So okay, it's okay for me not to be chosen. I mean, if I get to see him, I mean, like meet face to face, that's great, right? That's great. So that's great. It's fine. I mean, whatever that comes. So I went to Lucerne in 2003. Yeah, I remember there's a meeting point in this Lucerne Festival office, which is in the middle of town. It's a very small town, Lucerne, and then I was like 45 minutes early. I don't know what to do. I was just walking around and all this time, and I just couldn't walk anymore because it's just, I don't know. This is Swiss. People say it's punctual, so it's okay to be maybe a little early. I don't know. Is it okay to be like 20 minutes early? But let's go in anyway. It's a bit rude, 20 minutes early. So I went in there. So they were also, you're early. So I remember, I never forget that. So I walked in to their office. I walked in, and I see that a room with a door a little bit open, and I can see him, Boulez, looking over my score. I can say, wow, that's Boulez. I've never seen that distance, because he's always on a stage, and I don't go back there and like fans or something. I don't do that. So you know what I mean? The distance is far. And then I was a student even now, but I can only afford cheapest tickets. So I'm like a back on the Barbican, right? I'm like a really like this, with Boulez. That's my Boulez distance. So it got really close. Yeah, small Boulez. Now it's like a 3D and everything. Well, it's 3D in the Barbican too. But so then so I walk past. I don't want to say anything. I just looking like really into my score, like reading details as if like he's making a hole with his eyes. I don't know. So I was walking, and then so obviously he must have heard my footstep. So he turned. So in the slit of the door, he sees me, and he just says, "Not yet." Not, like the way he stops the orchestra, not yet. So it's okay, no, I know I'm 20 minutes early, so I'll just wait there. So I was just waiting, and then there's some office people who are trying to make it easy, I guess, how are you, that kind of things. But I don't remember the conversation. I wasn't listening. Of course, I was too nervous.
Too nervous. Yeah.
So whatever, yeah, fine. So then the time has come, which is completely on the dot. He just comes out. Now I'm ready, you say. And I said, you come in. And then I went on my own. So two of us, we just talking about the piece. And then, yeah, it was funny. He said, so I submitted the orchestra piece, most recent orchestra piece. And he said, you have heard this piece now. I had that piece of my own now. What's your self-criticism? That was his first question. I said, oh, that's easy. I have so many. So I went from like page 1, bar 1 to a lot. And then halfway through, he just grabbed my hand and said, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Because you sure I can go on. I mean, I know it's still page 3, but I can go. I said, no, it's not that bad. So then we spoke, and then it was a very nice talk. And I was thinking, well, I can tell this to my grandkids. not that I had a child then even, but I was thinking that. And then and then a few weeks later, I heard that I was one of the 2 selected composers, and then I get to write music for the workshop. So a year after they did the workshop, but the workshop is also led by Boulez. That's crazy, right? It's not like assistant conductor or anything. He did. And then, and then wrote it's good, did that. He doesn't really say much. He didn't really say much of the advice or anything. All he said was, it's hilarious to me, or anyone who knows Boulez music a lot. He said, oh, here, perhaps, here, I mean, you can do something, I don't know, add trills or something. But it's hilarious because his music is often consists of trills. So, we can do some trills. But he told me that. So I did rewrote that section. He's right, but I didn't do trills because he said do trills, so I don't do drills. So I did something else, and it was, I don't know. And then a year after he premiered, and then there's several years later he also conducted other pieces of mine, and there was a many encounter with him, not just the concert. I bumped into him many places, really many places. Sometimes I had a premiere and he was in front of me in the audience. How nerve-wracking stuff, but it was very nice, very, very nice. And I don't know, lots of sense of humor. And sometimes he would say that, oh, I received your letter. Sometimes I write a letter. He wrote me a letter too. So that, your sense of humor is great, or something like this. And it's way more, how can I say, humorous, and how can I say, it's not at all, it's a very different, it's not the same image that a lot of people might have. Academic, right. Isn't, I don't know, we didn't talk about anything like this, so way more casual. And casual, fast. The thinking is so fast. It's like hanging on to the fastest car or something, because it's very, very fast, and he will just go on, and So, but again, it's very funny, very, 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 very generous, very, it's always the best word I would describe is cheeky. The kind of very cheeky, like a teenager, sort of like a sparkle in his eyes always. It's it's a very fond memory for me, and I mean, I don't know. People say he supported me, but I'm sure he did. But I don't really know in what capacity. It's not like I can ask. And also, he helped many young composers, which is great. And So, but anyway, it was a great experience for me to meet somebody whom I saw his face, black and white, in a textbook. Now, not just very far in a Barbican Hall. It's in the very close, and now shake hands and everything. It's nice. It's But it's very funny that the one episode, if I may say so, I remember because after this experience, so therefore I know him. So I think I can go back to stage to say hello. Let's say it was in Barbican. It was a Bartok, a Blue-Bearded Castle. Yes, that's what he conducted. Yeah, the concert version. So he conducted. He did that in Barbican with the singers, of course, the orchestra. And because I don't want to queue for, there's a lot of music business people there,
Yeah.
and I don't want to do this. So I just ran to the back of the backstage. When he stopped his conductor, he finished the piece, and then the people stopped clapping, and then I ran to the backstage. So he was still, when I arrived there, he was still on stage, taking bow, even though hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, so I just managed to go in because I could be on the list. So I just go in. I was just standing there because who am I? Nothing. So I was just standing there on the side in the backstage, and people clapping, and then singers with dresses, and they just coming in and talking like, "Oh, it went well," blah 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 stuff. And then Boulez was just coming in for the first time, and then there's an audience going crazy, clapping, and then and then he just yes, and he just looked at me, "Oh, Dai!" It's like he just came to me. He was really talking, as in not like, "How are you?" Blah blah blah. He was talking immediately. He remembered 6 months ago I met him. I was going somewhere to have my concert or something, my piece. And he was, "How was that? I remember he was like, "How was Donna Michigan?" Or sometimes he said, "How was Japan?" That kind of. You remember, how was that? But it's in the middle of an entire Barbican. I'm sure the stuff, who the hell is that guy? I mean, who is he? I mean, the concert is not finished. So going on and on. And then, the audience are clapping and singers are waiting what to do. And then he just immediately to the singers, "Oh, you go. And the singers went there on stage without Boulez. And Boulez is talking to me in the conversation, not like a blah, blah conversation. Like, "Oh, how was it? Who conducted that? And, oh, which orchestra? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that was good, blah, blah, blah." And then there's a real conversation going on. And then the singers took bow several times and came back. Yeah. And now he really need to go. So the stage manager, I think, says, "Maestro, you really have to go." And they say, "Oh, well, so apparently I have to go. So, okay, please." So they went. It's strange, right? Wow. This concentration, but I wasn't there to say, "Hi, I'm here." Not at all, because the concert is not finished. I was at the the Barbican is long, so there's a backstage door. I just opened the stage. I was just standing there, like as if I'm a guard or something, like a staff of the hall, right? He just look at, Dai. Just right, he came, so I made him walk to me. And then he's really engaged conversation, as if there's no one there. No one is around us. I'm just talking really, really in details.
Wow. So almost as if he didn't do a concert at all. He just came.
No, it's just, yeah. That's another thing that I have noticed, that he, every time I see him, this is my own impression, he conducts and then the performance is finished. And I think for him, it's done. He doesn't seem so much interested in like bowing and how beautiful he was, blah blah blah. I can see in his face now because I knew him. It's like he did his amazing performance, and then that's just his mind is next. It's just yeah. So it's quite often I saw him in Europe. Audience, they are standing ovation and everything, but he just take the orchestra back like a second bow. Sometimes it's enough. But you know how it is, people just go on like 10 times, right? Yeah, and then it's applause. It's just like, it's enough. It's like orchestras, we are standing there thinking, oh, okay. That was like 3 minutes.
But I find that really, really admirable that, even after a concert, when your mind is all over the place, conducting,
out of all these things.
Out of all those things. You think about so much, and then at the backstage and you see your friend, you give all your attention to your friend. I find that really, really admirable. Really, really.
How was, and then the first thing, Dai, how was Donna Michigan? How was your trombone concerto? How was that? Who conducted that? This is the whole thing. And then imagine that his status and no one can interrupt this conversation. And then everybody's mind, I could see like as if it's in a manga. Like a bubble. Say, who the hell is that guy? Who is he? I mean, I felt I don't know. I should have done that or not, but it's very Even
Oh,
in the
really?
general rehearsal, in general rehearsal, I'll observe because I love going to general rehearsal because I learn a lot. And as I said before, I can never afford this kind of very expensive seat or anything. So in general rehearsal, I can sit anywhere.
Hmm.
So I learn, and so I'm just there. And then sometimes from the stage after the general rehearsal, Boulez said, "Oh, Mr. Fujikura." Sometimes he has a joke. He say, "Oh, die," and then we just said hi. I said, "Oh, come back, come back to backstage." And then sometimes sometimes he said in his room, in his conducting dress room, which is funny. His dress room has nothing. As in, there's nothing. Quite often big star or ask for many things, right?
Yeah, sure.
It's nothing. And then he said, "Oh, you sit there." I was okay. I said, I don't know. I just want to say hi. That was it. There's no. I don't have anything to discuss in this case. But he's there, and then we just discuss. And in the meantime, a lot of people comes in, including for example, including like Pierre Boulez, whom also I know, who's gonna play the piano concerto.
Yes.
He's a soloist tonight's concert. So he wants to discuss about tempos, of course. But I'm there for some reason because I was there before. So I was going to say, "Oh, okay, I'm going to go." Of course, I don't want to interrupt. Because no, don't go. So okay, I just sit there right next to Pierre Boulez, just talking about second movement. I'm just observing. It's amazing for me to look with how these two to discuss. I'm like nodding, and then after the done, so okay, so now it's going to. So we'll do that. He would say to Pierre Boulez. And Pierre Boulez he's very nice. He looking because I'm sorry, I'm interrupted. He said, "So no, I'm not interrupted. I'm interrupting you." So I don't know why I'm here. It's a very strange. And in the meantime, there's like a leader of the orchestra saying hello, and of course, that kind of stuff. But I'm just there, don't know what I should. So it's very interesting.
It's amazing.
Yeah, but he will ask. Like a genuine interest. What I do when I'm doing, what am I writing next to? Who did you work with last? Like as I said, normal conversation.
Sure.
But with a lot more attention, as in very concentrated attention.
Yes. Oh,
Which could be overwhelming.
I mean, how did that make you feel that he gave you so much attention and so much time?
No, it's nice. I don't know. It's a very strange for me to say. Who am I to say? I know that, but sometimes that when you meet somebody, a friend or whatever, whoever, that you meet somebody that you sometimes. I know it's very, very arrogant of me to say, but I don't know how other way to explain. But I definitely can say that him and I, when we spoke, whatever, like this, he's a public person, and I can see, even then, I can see it's a real click. It's not that politeness or anything, but it's really we sort of, I don't know. It was to be honest, the rehearsing with him and stuff is really easy. Funny enough, easiest person to rehearse is with him, I would say. And a lot of people I remember people around me was surprised the way I not behaved. I guess in the rehearsal I behaved fine, but because I asked for many things in rehearsal. I asked him, well, they're not together. Can you make it together? That sounds out of pitch to me. Blah blah. That sort of thing. It was fine. I mean, a lot of people say that the young composers with him didn't really say much, but I said a lot of things. And but I remember that I told him. I asked him, "I'm sorry, I asked you many things." And he said, "No, I like correcting mistakes," he said. So it was really fine. It's really not a single weird, there's no ego, at least with me, there's nothing like that. It was a very down to the business. Let's get on with work. It's that's not what I mean, like a politics as in like, oh, you know who I am. Not now, just this music, sound, and somebody's F sharp is too sharp. Let's fix that. And we fix that, and that is too loud. Yeah, you're right. That's too loud. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the piccolo. It's probably my fault. But, okay, you play a little bit quieter. Okay, it's everything very fast. 2, 3, 1. Did you hear that? Yes. Good. Next. Very fast. Yeah, but then it's never. It's never weird. You know what I mean? Like a personal game. Well, not with me. It's just very in a good sense, is very dry, as in a good way. It's like let's do the task, and this is the work, this is the task, and we feel good because it's fixed, and then yeah. So that's
Absolutely.
I don't know. It's a strange. It's not always like that with the conductors, let's say, because conductors always have sometimes the people. I don't know why they have to do their thing, the conductor thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes, and then sometimes it gets very boring. But with him, it was, at least with me, it was direct.
Yes, there was that deeper chemistry between you two. Yeah, that allowed that to happen.
Yes. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you originally set out wanted to become a film composer. But
it's so funny. Yeah.
But with the introduction to Boulez's music, Ligeti and Takemitsu, this changed. Is that correct?
Well, no, it's not. It's not that funny enough. I don't know, but maybe it's film. I love films, and I'm fanatic with films, and I know I was influenced by a lot of film music composers and so on when I was younger, especially. But I must say that it's so weird. I get offered now to do a film project. And I do with the best of interest and stuff, but I always get fired. I just got fired this year too. But I'm fired, unpaid. It's brilliant. I didn't know you were fired unpaid. Were you? I didn't ask for to be paid. They said, no, we will pay you. Was it really? It's so big, but.
Would you mind explaining, go into more detail about the process?
Well, many times it's several reasons. I don't know. To be honest, I have to say that when I was young, I wanted to be a film composer because I love the storytelling part, and together with music. And then when I was younger, meaning that in 1990, so therefore that time soundtrack were almost always recorded by symphony orchestra, big orchestra choirs and so on, rather than samplers and so on today. So that's how I probably got familiar with an orchestral sound when I was little, a child, and especially with a horror music soundtrack I loved. Maybe that's why I was easy to go into contemporary music, because contemporary music influenced horror soundtrack big time. We all know now. I didn't know that time, but so now. So the process is funny. So when I was little, because I was so ignorant and so stupid, that I just thought, so strange, nothing about it, so strange. Even until recently, actually, I thought film music I thought the music was made first. Then they do the story and then for production. In my opinion, that I don't see anything more important than the music. And then now I know how the film music world works in a way by being fired many times, even though I didn't offer myself. I never offered myself. Then they offered me, okay, great, let's do that. I do my best, and then they get fired every time, including Hollywood too. And it's hilarious. Hollywood must have many composers. Why do they bother to come to me? But they do, and they get fired. Thank you very much. And you're paid, and you go home. Anyway, then I just didn't realize that in film music, the composers has to be pretty much, what's the best word to describe? It's like composers are very much. It has to do exactly what directors and producers have to say. I mean, I don't know what word we can use now. Composers are a bit like they're, what's the word? I don't know.
Maybe the
best
word would be like a not a soldier following orders, but like following orders from the director.
Yeah, but
maybe
really lower rank
soldier.
Yeah. I don't know, something like that. And then, but that was shocking to me too. I don't know who are you to voice the opinion on the music, because I'm the composer. You asked me to compose, and that as well. And also at the same time, the recent one was funny because I'm an opera composer. Yeah, I'm an opera composer. I mean, I write music. I write operas. So 3 operas I have written, and then opera. I think I'm right to say that it is very important to collaborate with librettist. It's the key. That's the most important. So I have a great collaborator, librettist, who I work with for 20 years, over 20 years. Not all operas I've done with him, but many other pieces with the text. And I think, and I'm sure he agrees too, it's my job as a composer. It's my job to decline maybe or ask for rewrite for the libretto, and then not just reject like this, but it's like, oh, can we do other direction? Can we try something? That's the collaboration, you know.
Yeah.
That's what we make. And this time the film is that I did tell them that, look, I'm not a film composer, so I will not voice that script you sent me. But then that company told me that the producer told me, and the director told me that, who's a quite famous director, told me that who wrote the script on his own. No, it's never a really good idea to write one person write a script, I think, because you need several people's point of view, because it's a story and the conversation. And so anyway, so it's based on the book. So I studied. I mean, I'm always going to the project with as sincere as possible, of course. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. So I did a lot of study. I love studying. So I did a lot of research. I read and many times the book which the films are based on, and I did a research on directors, research on an author of the best novel based on that stuff. So all this, and I really knew my subject, this topic, and I composed some demos and so on. And then anyway, the script came, and then they asked me three times. What could you please tell us what you thought about the script? And I said, look, I'm a opera composer, and my job often to discuss about libretto, but this is not an opera, and I'm a rookie at the movie, so I would not voice anything. So please, you it's fine. No. You need to. I'm asking everybody. You need to. We need to hear from you too. What's your opinion? So really, they asked three times, right? And also the people who ask me, they know that I'm not a beginner of a composer either. As in, I'm not like out of college composer either. So, and remember that it was them who offered me. So not I begged or anything. So okay, three times. I mean, I asked my music editor, producer person whom I know well, and I said, look, do you think I should? And he said, no, you really should say, because you're an artist, and that's the reason why they want to work with you. And anyway, and then so I said, because I've had many problems with that script. And because many technical issues and storytelling issues I had. So I politely said, I think you have a problem with this and this, and so just the bullet points, 4 places. And after that, I didn't hear for anything, and they were shocked to hear such issues, and then they fired me.
What?
So it was so funny. It's crazy because my wife is from, I told you, she's from Bulgaria. She remembers time living in a communist country, because Bulgaria was a communist country until she was 12. So she was saying, this is like a communism regime, that you have a voice, so therefore we'll fire you. You have an opinion, you have fire. So okay. So I mean, it's again, I said, it's not that I was desperate for this project. So I was thinking, well, okay, firing me is fine, but that you will still do have a problem with this script, and I hope that somebody else will point out that you will fix that for you. But okay, and so that's how I left, which is weird because because it's a kind of strange for me that I didn't. It wasn't like. I didn't say that, oh, make sure you change. And not like that. I just, you asked me 3 times to voice, I have these issues. If you think to rethink, and then you think, no, this is right, that's fine. Just, you asked me to voice. I mean, I didn't know I'm supposed to say, oh, it's just wonderful. I just can't wait to score this beautiful score, that kind of crap. I mean, I'm too old for this stuff. I don't, it's a problem. What do you want me to say? I mean, and also the funny thing is that it's a movie. I would imagine they need to make a lot of profit, right, to cover the production. I mean, what kind of script is that if you can't convince one composer? I mean, don't you think that is a problem? It's like you can't because you need to convince like thousands of people, if not a million. Well, you can't convince one person who really knows the subject. That's a bit weird. Anyway, so that's the thing. So I'm looking forward to be offered another film project to be fired as well. It's weird, right? Also, but the funny thing is that I say one thing that it's 2 years ago, I think, I did the first time I managed, until the end I didn't get fired, even though I didn't offer myself, to write a piano piece. The movie is called Listen to the Universe. That is I don't know, it's out in Europe, but it's definitely the novel and the movies are out in, I hear Asian country, like Taiwan and so on. I mean, maybe China, I don't know. But it was a big hit in Japan, and that was about piano competition. So stories about piano competition, and then the movie had an imaginary composer who wrote new piece for the contestant. Right, in a script, in a novel, the best-selling novel, which the movie is based on. So they asked me to write that imaginary piece. So I managed to. I wrote the piece, but also that was the best way because no one told me what to do, and I refused to give any demo or anything.
Right.
I lied. I lied to say I am a classical music composer. I don't have any technological setup, which I do, but to give you demo sound of what I composed. So you need to book the four pianists, and the 4 albums it came out in the end. You need to you need to book this star pianist and then record. Then you can hear. So I lied. So because I don't want them to hear and then think, oh, maybe can you do it? It's boring and that's not. And also I negotiated the fact that no one can. I negotiated no one can reject the score. It just has to be that piece.
Right.
That was quite good. And the script was written around that piece. So around my piece, that was quite nice. And then editing and everything was done towards that my piece. And so the first time I saw it on the movie in the cinema, I bought tickets and I went to see the cinema. It was great. And then that piece was obviously featured quite big time, like 25 minutes in the whole. The piece is 5 minutes, but it's played many different ways.
Yeah.
So that was a very nice to see. And then that was the only way that I wasn't fired, and I managed to the end of the. I managed to be in the movie.
Well, thank you for telling us a story.
It's funny, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's like that.
I mean, I wish we could talk all day, but I think we should wrap up the episode. It's been such a pleasure hearing your stories. So just maybe 2 more questions. I mean, I find it really interesting. You said earlier that it's always the script, and then the music follows the script in the movie. That's the sort of general attitude.
Apparently, so yeah. Music has to follow what's happening in the movie, right?
What's happening in the movie? Yeah, exactly. Do you reckon a movie could be made out of the music? So the reverse.
Oh, well, I think it's the best way. I think it's the best way. I mean, as I said earlier, that the music in a film project I could be involved was this piece, You Listen to the Universe. And I can see that director was great. I mean, director who cut the zoom and it's cut the picture based on my piece. So that worked really well. But why not? I mean, why don't you do that for a whole piece, whole movie? I would say. I mean, why not? I mean, that's but then again, so I didn't finish what I wanted to say, even though I spoke long. But so back to my stupidity when I was young. I get one of them. When I was little, as I said, that I thought the music was written before, and then people made a movie out of the music, right? I mean, basically, that is an opera. Because opera, the composer is the artist. We because the score is the opera. So stage director who comes in to stage the score, and then different stage directors will stage the same music differently. That's the amazing part. I mean, for example, my first opera Solaris was had several theaters that have been done, but with some of the stage was by the same director and the same production. So we had I think three different productions, three different directors, and it's completely different, absolutely different. The look and the storytelling is completely different. And then the third one, the Vienna production, it just happened several months ago. It was online and everything. I was shocked when I saw it in a good way, because I think that one of the main character I knew in story, she died here, but she was already dead in the production. So that storytelling is slightly different, and even of course I welcome that completely. But that's the beautiful thing about opera, which is not possible in movie. Because you make one movie, and when is the next remake? I mean, you got to wait 10 years, if any, right? But then in opera, it's like it could be many productions, and then every director wants to do hers or his own way, but the music's still the same.
Yeah.
It's an amazing thing. And I remember the second production. It was in Augsburg in Germany, and it was completely different, absolutely different. But the music, and then some audience came to me who apparently went to the premiere by the different production. And then that guy, he told me that, he said to me, bravo, and it was a good idea that you revised the score, and now the space and the tempo and then the shape is so much better. But I didn't change a note. It's exactly the same. And it's also nothing different in the performance. Of course, a different performance in different orchestra, but it's not like I added or I cut something. But again, it feels very different because of the staging and everything is different. So I think that's a magical part of it. And then as a composer, it's a wonderful thing to just watch, just as an audience. And so I don't know. So when as you said, that when I was little, I wanted to be a film music composer. But maybe what I meant was I wanted to be an opera composer. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but then because I just can't imagine. Definitely, when I was young, that I didn't think that somebody would voice what I have to compose. That's the thing, isn't it? The director will say, "Well, that's not what it doesn't fit to my scene." Director might say, "Well," I would say, "Well, can't you just shoot the one which fits my music?" I mean, what is that? Why do I have to change? Basically, But I think that's one reason that more and more I think that the movies, because of technological difference, that it's the movies, the visuals are stronger now today, I think. And then that's one reason, if I may say so, the film music today compared to 30 years ago, it's the strength of the music is less and less. Right. It's very diluted, very sparse and texture and so on. I mean, compared to music from 1980s and 90s, this big, huge orchestra and the melodies, whatever, they are really telling the story, isn't it? They're playing the story and telling the story. And sometimes the dialogues are not there because music is telling the story. Yeah, you're talking about the Untouchable, maybe Kurosawa's Run, and I don't know, many masterpieces. You can't just say, "Oh, I couldn't hear the music." I mean, I don't know, something wrong with you, because the music is so strong. Yeah, and then there's no dialogue, some famous scenes, but the music is telling us. But that's enough, because we see the scenes, but the music is playing. That's great. We don't really need to tell. You don't need to tell us what's happening by words. So I don't know. That's my thought. I don't know.
No, it's very insightful. It's very insightful. Thank you very much. Well, the last question: if you were to give advice to upcoming aspiring composers, contemporary or film, what do you think are the most fundamental skills that they should have?
Fundamental skills, I think, is I think getting used to horrible thing said, but getting used to be disliked. But once you get used to it, it's the same. Yeah. I think that, I know this is generalization, I'm sorry, but I see from my friends that not just composers, including musicians and performers, that some of my friends, I can just imagine, because they are very nice people, I can imagine they were very popular when they were growing up. Everybody likes her, likes him. Maybe the kid's parents adore that boy, or girl. You know what I mean? One of those kids. I can imagine. They don't tell me, but I can see that.
Yeah.
And then I can see tiny little things in rehearsals and tiny little criticism and things that really get them, because they've been told how just worshipped and liked and loved, and so they deserve, because they're such nice people. I can say I like them, of course. Of course, people like them, of course. But but I was definitely not like that. So it was a really good skill. As in, people dislike all the time. It's fine, and what I did or me when I was growing up. It's then. When you become, I don't know, composing, so meaning that composing, whatever it is, you're going to compose music, fine. You're going to play it just for yourself, that's great. Now, that's wonderful. But if you decide your music to be out of your living room, that means it's up for grab about criticism. I mean, people can say whatever they want to say, and they should be. Today I don't understand even the famous composers, I don't know whom, I don't want to say whom, but say that, it's not out of order to other composers to say in public about our composition is this or something. But why not? Because, of course, the other people, anybody hear it and they say, I don't like it, it's too blah, blah, too. Of course, but you can't shut them off to say that is wrong. You can't just, well, that is wrong. That means that you're saying that the other person's thinking is wrong. Maybe, but if this is something about science or something, maybe it's right or wrong. I don't know. But this is music. It's, of course, there are 100 people, 100 opinions, right? And you are putting out your music outside your bedroom. That means you're okay with it. I mean, I take it. If you're not okay with it, don't let anyone else hear it. It's fine. Just for yourself. That's also beautiful too. We're composing just for yourself. But why not? That's what you want to do. But if you want to put it out, another person, like one person over there, to hear it, wow. I'm sorry, but you have to be ready. If that person just didn't like it, it's fine. That doesn't mean you wrote a bad piece. It's just that person didn't like it. And then to try another person. That person may not like it either. But I think that the most important, just for the last one, sometimes I tell my student that I think it's important to know if you're writing the music, do you still love it? Do you still like it, what you're writing? Even if that music you wrote, everybody in the whole world except you dislike it. That's the big thing. It's a bit similar to, in my opinion, like having an own child. Of course, I love my own child because she's my daughter. But it really doesn't matter. It's the entire world likes her or dislike her. What's that got to do with anything? She's my daughter and I love her. That's it. I'm sure that many parents would feel this way. It doesn't matter. Your cousin thinks she is that, or whatever. Think whatever you want. But that's the confidence in that piece. But because you produce the piece, that means you need to have a responsibility. You need to protect your piece from the world. Let's say it's good that if you write a piece and everybody loves it, bravo. That's nice. But again, even if no one liked it, but then still, if you still think that is important and then you love that piece, then that's fine. But you need to be like a soldier to protect that piece, I think.
Well, Dai, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.